We have a guest speaker I told y'all about. I didn't know it would be this soon, so it kind of worked out. But this is Bryan Rice. Bryan Rice, he still works, freelancer, which is pretty cool. He also just took on the athletic director of the Lake Hamilton Optimist Club, which is not to be confused with the Lake Hamilton School District, but it's something separate. In fact, we actually, nobody in here, but I had a few basketball guys go out with me. We actually did an event out there, volunteered for a special needs baseball game, and we did it out on their fields. And so he's kind of recently taken that over, and so he's still going to do some freelance work. I brought this just because it was cool. He covered our Tigers basketball camp this summer with Cutter, and did it was kind of cool on the front page of the Sports. Kind of gave a full article and covering a few of our stories for a couple years now. So kind of built a pretty good relationship with him, and so super excited about the continuation of. I know he's going to try to cover our transition into our NEI level next year, which is exciting, and all that stuff. So obviously, when it comes to journalism, he's going to know a lot more than I would about anything. So he's going to give us just a brief summary, kind of what he does, how he goes about it, how he got to where he is, what made him want to do it, etc. And then after he's done speaking, I'm going to open it up for questions. So Bryan, go ahead and come on up. Y'all give him a hand clap here.
So I actually went to SAU, Southern Arkansas University, part of their mass media program, and that really encompasses more than just journalism per se. It also does radio, TV, broadcasting, kind of like you see on ESPN, those kind of people, right? So I always wanted to be a coach, and then I had a kid in college and decided I couldn't move all over the state chasing the coaching dream when we weren't, together. So I found that working at a local radio station let me cover sports in a way that kind of brought us closer together without me having to move around and not be involved in my kids' life. Hot Springs was always awesome and interested to me, and I found the Sentinel Record newspaper. They took a chance on me because I hadn't worked in news before, just basically radio and broadcasting. So I had to learn a lot more after graduating college and learn AP style, which is something you guys will have to learn. I don't know where it is in your curriculum, but you'll have to learn it to work for any publication. It's a nationwide designated writing style, so everything is uniform and looks the same and is easy to read for readers, which is, you don't want them to be confused. That's basically what that is. So, learned all that, got put in the sports department, started building relationships with local coaches like Pacey here, and all 7 high schools. I've done a little bit with Gospel Light in their private sector of schools, and have always really enjoyed highlighting kids in their achievements while they're young to keep them involved in sports, which is why I volunteer coached at a place like Majestic Park in Lakeside. So I got to kind of establish 2 dreams at once, being involved in sports and coaching, because there's a lot of freedom in journalism. Sports led me to this new thing he was describing, the athletic director job, because it also gave me the freedom to go back and get my master's degree in sports administration. So when I did that while working at the Sentinel Record, it really opened a lot of doors for me. Plus, I still get to write because I go to games for free, which is awesome for me, especially you guys have an emphasis in sports journalism as well. So you go to games, you go for free, you get to meet all the cool coaches, the players, you get to meet administrators, even on the college level for places like Arkansas. I've met Sam Pittman, I've met a bunch of his players. That just, the doors open, and always bring a personality. Great, yeah, you get the interview, you highlight the school, but if you come in with a smile, a personality, and just genuinely find a way to care about the schools you cover, it really boosts those relationships. And that's why he thought of me instead of somebody else, because we became friends other than just, I got this reporter thing. And if it's not sports, business, culture, any of those things, bring that same energy, because that really is what opened the door for me to progress my career. So that's really a synopsis of my journey and what it is, but you guys ask me what y'all want to know about journalism so I can give you the accurate response that you guys do.
I have a couple questions that kind of get us started. So y'all be thinking of questions. Number one, what does a week look like in a journal? Like, obviously a 9-to-5 job, you go in and you're on the computer, you do. But obviously with a journalist, the hours are going to be random because you got to go to games, which is different hours. What does that look like for a journalist? Like just a week, a normal week. I know probably that's a bad term, but like just
I got you.
yeah.
So football season is a crazy season, right? So you're up late on Friday nights because you're going to have like 11:30 deadline because the game doesn't end until like 9, sometimes 10 if it lasts a long time. So you have that kind of crunch time while you're there. But your standard week is usually going to be more of like come in around 10 or 11 in the morning and you're going to work until like 6 or 7 at night, because another part going along with it is, other than you write a story and give it to the editor, is they have a thing called pages where on your laptop, which they all give you laptops and stuff, you pull up the next day's print, what it's going to look like, and you basically check it for errors. Like if you submit a photo and they completely spelled the kid's name wrong, you catch that and you fix it, and that's where all that comes in. So that's why you go a little bit past, like you said, 5. That usually gets done around 7, but offices generally close about 3 to 4 p.m. There's not really a lot to do because the page designers are getting things together. So you kind of have some way you go home. Usually that stuff's done at home. You just pop your laptop open. It takes 10, 15 minutes to look over your section. And that's how your day wraps. You set your interviews, you make calls to coaches, send out emails, text messages, whatever you got to do to pretty much set your day how it fits your schedule.
And then, so with that being said, I know you had mentioned like setting up interviews and stuff. Like how many stories? And I know that this would probably change for different papers and things like that. But how many stories do you have to produce per week?
So the standard is 1 story per day that you work. You usually work 5 days a week. They give you 2 off days. They're not crazy on you. So I generally overachieved and shoot for 2 to 3 per day. That way we always had something we could run. So it doesn't look good when you got, NPC champion at Lakeside, and then the next day you got that. So you pull national stories, of course, but you don't want to count on those fillers. So you always try to set a goal for 2 a day, and if you underachieve, it's all right because you know you met that goal yesterday. You always got something going. Always reach out to coaches. Social media is a great way to find those as well. I mean, I've texted him and I'm like, man, you didn't tell me this. And we've set up stories just based off that, because everybody's got a story, somebody's just got to tell it. And that's what you guys come in. You take their quotes, you find out facts about the story, you piece it together in a way that it flows.
Yeah, you're just covering the story itself. What would you say is your favorite part of the job and the least favorite part?
The least favorite part is when you get a kid on camera that is terrifying. That's why, so I have this tiny camera. They still got those big news station cameras, and if I put it in your face, you'd be really ready to talk and ramble? Probably not, right? Especially if you're a junior, senior in high school. That's a lot more invasive. So that's helped me overcome that challenge, just having a lot easier way of talking to people. You also tell them not to stare into the camera, just kind of look at you and have a conversation. That's the hardest part. The best part is watching kids win championships, man. The coaches, oh my God, they go nuts. The kids go nuts. So that kind of stuff's really rewarding.
Anybody got a question that we? Okay, Cassie.
What was your toughest piece to write and why?
Toughest piece to write was when a kid from Cutter, my very first year, it was actually like the 3rd story I even wrote, was named ineligible by the AAA. They wouldn't let him. They were going to make him sit for an entire year as a junior in high school, just because he transferred. I think he got that kid eligible. But it was tough to write because that's really soon to be writing in a negative, especially about a statewide organization.
Right out of the gate. You probably get some heat because he's voicing. There's always 2 sides of the story, but when you have to voice both sides and somebody doesn't want you to voice a side.
So, and to counteract that, I did a part 2 to it and got AAA on the phone, and they explained their rules and to why and how the kid ended up eligible, because they walked me through the steps that they followed, and they followed them correctly. And it was awesome that the kid got to play and the heat went down because I was able to tell that harder side of the story in a little more of a positive light, like, oh, maybe they were just doing their jobs, these are the bylaws.
So
You were talking about like the Hogs and then all the high school teams. So do you like get to choose like what stories you want to do, or they kind of like make you
So
do certain stories?
in the beginning, they kind of directed a path, like, hey, go to this game. It's a big game, or hey, I saw the editor saw this on Facebook. Can you follow up with that? Here's the contact number. But once you establish a good flow and they start trusting you, do whatever you want. They will take the leashes off. They will let you do whatever you want. I don't remember the last time I was told to do a story. In the last 5 years, probably the first 6 months. You know, they kind of gave me some guidance and some training on that, but I was a go-getter. I was like, oh man, I love doing this. I want to do this. This is so much fun to me. It's so rewarding that I was just boom, boom, boom out there trying to find anything I could. I would call coaches and be like, hey, you got any kids on your team that have a special talent? Found a quarterback Lakeside plays guitar. We got him on camera doing that. We told that whole story. Anything else?
So like, whenever it comes to like the stories that you said you had to write about the kid getting ineligible, is it you try not to take one side of it, stay
Yes.
on one side and just try to tell the story straight up?
It's in your best interest to stay as unbiased as possible. Now you can use words like a miraculous catch or an amazing slam dunk, you know, to highlight how cool it was.
Yeah.
But if you got to take, like, if I felt really bad for that kid, but you have to take that out of there and just do the black and white facts of it. And the stories you'll see when you're getting quotes from these people, you don't have to use everything they say. You find the best parts of it, and that's where your story really breathes life into itself, because people understand that Coach Mo said it, you know, stuff like that, or that kid said it. I can't remember his name now, right off the top of my head, but that's
I remember
how
that happening though.
Yeah,
it was a big deal.
It was.
And the same thing happened to Ahmad, who played for Champion.
Yes.
And he didn't get to play.
Yeah.
So that was a whole nother.
Ma Davis.
Yeah.
Good young man too. I remember
Yeah.
him. He was great.
Kind of a part two question. Have you ever caught yourself being biased in any of your stories?
Oh, absolutely. I've had to. I'm going to edit this down a little bit. Absolutely. And after you type the story, reread it a couple times, make sure that you didn't spell something crazy because you weren't paying attention, and make sure you don't do that. Yeah.
Now, so this is a question, and you guys will learn about this in part of the class. I've got obviously all the lessons already ready. There is, and again, I don't know, this is the question is, have you had any experience or seen it happen with your paper of being in trouble for reporting things that weren't true? Because obviously libel and things like that, which is where like a paper writes something that's very clearly untrue, even if it's on accident. But you can get in trouble and even sued. Have you seen that or experienced that, or you heard stories about anything like that in your time?
Absolutely, absolutely. I have never been in trouble for that, ever, thank God. And moving into more of the freelance sector where I go to games and cover certain events and just send the stories in, that'll fall a lot more into the editor's hands because I'm not that type of employee anymore. I was always very careful about that kind of stuff. That's why I said read through a couple times. Make sure you got it right. If something that someone says in an interview sounds sketchy, either leave it out or find another source to confirm. That is always good. You don't even have to print that other source to confirm, but if they go, that ain't what happened, like, well, okay, take it out. Just completely take it out. Maybe bring them in as another viewpoint on the story as well. That can happen, yes. And there's retractions that editors have to print weekly if they found something, even a misspelled name. But if I spelled your name wrong, and then your mom called and was like, hey, that's not it. We print an immediate retraction correcting the spelling. Sometimes we'll even reprint the article. If it's spelled wrong throughout, we'll reprint it. It happens. It has not happened. Like I said, I always, you get rosters from coaches, especially on the sports side. It should be pretty easy to avoid that kind of stuff.
So like you got to make sure that like
Facts.
Yeah, you got to make sure you get the fact, and you really want to check it with reliable sources too, and multiple sources. And sometimes you can go back to the same source and say, hey, did you really mean this? Because, and he said, like, you're not dumb. You reading like that seems a little bit wrong, odd, not true, or a little bit embellished, or so you want to be careful, especially with facts, and because you can get in trouble.
People get very comfortable about saying, my name is such and such and I go to such and such, that it just becomes part of their vocabulary versus specifying the separation of the two, especially in the high school level, because we are Lakeside, right? We are Lake Hamilton. Like, that's just kind of the perception that's developed.
And now, like I told you in the beginning, as a freelance writer, he won't have as much responsibility. He's just going to cover stuff, send it to the editor. The editor will do a lot of that. But, any other questions? Let's get like one or two more and we'll be done. We'll get out of here.
Being a writer, have you really made like really good connections? With some great connections.
Oh yeah. It's amazing. I get to meet coaches from all across the country. Met Nebraska's head football coach there. Really funny guy, actually. I thought he was gonna be kind of mean. You never know him. These college coaches. Oh my God, I bet he's intimidating. No, it was pretty awesome. You get kind of a wow factor sometimes in your own life. You don't ever think you're going to really get caught in. So it's pretty neat.
Let's get one more.
What do you do if like you're interviewing someone and they don't really give you good answers or stuff roundabout, like they're just not very expressive?
Well, yeah, especially if you're talking to youth, that does kind of happen. So that's where video becomes a cool tool, because if they give you like a half sentence or something, use it in that. But always try to find another source if that kind of happens to you. Like, if I asked you a ton of questions, sorry, I'm picking on you because you're just right here. So if you gave me like little half answers and little kind of scaredy cat sentences, that's where you go talk to the coach. And they can really, really give you kind of more of the body, or even have them present to kind of help walk them through an interview. Not necessarily give them answers, but kind of coaches can make you a little more expressive. And if you have to, you can always call superintendent, athletic director. There's always someone else. Kids' parents. Parents usually talk. They love it. They're like, oh my God, I'm being paid too. So there's always someone else you can talk to. You can even ask for another team.
So just to kind of close, interestingly enough, like I told you guys, kind of when I was growing up, even like in high school, my goal was to be less of a writer, but more of a reporter, and like being able to hang out with those athletes, even though I knew I would never be good enough to be with, There is, I think a lot of what he said is so true, but it's in every aspect. No matter if you're going to be a therapist, or you're going to be a coach, or you're going to be a athletic trainer, or you're going to be a journalist, you're going to be a guy media content creator, or you're going to go play professionally overseas. Whatever you want to do, there's certain things that you are going to have to networking. Networking, shoot, it's not about how good you are a lot of times, it's who you know, if I'm being honest. And so you got to start working on this stuff now. Wait, I'm in college. You're in college, start now. Start young, start making networking connections, start talking to coaches, start making connections. That way, when you graduate, you're not saying, oh, I'm just looking for a job. You have people calling you all over saying, man, hey, are you done yet? Hey, hey, what are you thinking about doing now? Because that's how you're going to get to where you want to be, and you're going to be successful only if you can start making those connections and being friendly, being outspoken, and that's going to be something that he mentioned in the very beginning, just giving yourself that energy, because that's what people want to see. So you give Bryan a hand. Thank you, Bryan, for coming. Took some time out of his schedule, obviously, to come and speak for a little bit, and I hope you saw that was beneficial and kind of cool, because if I'm being honest, and I don't know if you were the same way, but I know a lot of people, they change their mind. In college, they'll change their mind about what they want to do. I know originally we don't have anybody in here who's like full on, like, I want to be a journalist. But it may be something that you're like, that's kind of interesting. If I'm successful at it, you get better, you get bigger, you start making connections. It's a pretty cool job. Sounds like the schedule, can be busy, but also very flexible. So kind of a cool idea. And again, as a sports management degree person, you are pursuing, with your degree, you can pursue a career in this. So thank you, Bryan. I really appreciate you. If anybody has any questions about their assignments and stuff like that, obviously let me know.